What's going on, people? We have ourselves Rush Duel news from the new Mega Road pack, and I'm going to be talking about Romin and Princess G's new cards. I was so excited when I saw these in the anime, and we're finally getting them out in this set. So let's first go over a really important card, and that is Lilith, a level 2 Dark Psychic normal monster with 400 attack and 400 defense points. This card is going to be the fusion material for two of the big boss psychic fusion monsters. So let's go over them. First one is going to be the one that Princess G used in the anime, and that is Omega Gitarna, the Supreme Shining Superstar. Level 9 Dark Omega Psychic Fusion Monster, 2900 attack, 2000 defense points. Ooh, I almost tripped up there because I'm so excited, people. So the materials is going to be Prima Gitarna, the Shining Superstar, and Lilith. And I remember before when I did a video and I was like, I want Gitarna to get a fusion. I want Gitarna to get a fusion. It's not fair that all the other boss monsters got a fusion, and they paid that off in spades because she actually has 2 fusions. But first we're going to go over this one. So the requirement for this card's effect is you can activate by sending the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and then you get a choice effect. This card gains 1000 attack times the number of monsters in your opponent's field until the end of the turn. And during this turn, this card can't be destroyed by the effects of your opponent's trap cards. So this thing can be boosted up to 5900 and has trap card destruction immunity. It also has a second effect, choose and destroy one spell and trap card on your opponent's field. So if your opponent is playing all in defense position and your opponent has any back row, feel free to just destroy it if you want, because you're not going to be inflicting any battle damage to your opponent if they're hiding in defense mode. That's the great thing about choice effects, they work depending on the situation. And here we have our next fusion monster. So excited about this one as well. Princess Omega, the Supreme Shining Superstar, level 9 Light Omega Psychic Fusion Effect Monster, attack 2900, defense 2000. So as you can see, everything is pretty much exactly the same, except that this one is a light attribute, and while the other one is a dark attribute. But in terms of the level and the stats, it's exactly the same. Even the materials are the same. Prima Gitarna, the Shining Superstar, and Lilith. The requirement for this effect is none, but the effect is change the battle position of all monsters on your field. Then you can choose one face-up monster on your opponent's field and have it lose 800 attack times the number of monsters you control. Or you can use another choice effect, and that'll be choose 7 cards from your opponent's graveyard or shuffle them back into the deck. So if you want to hurt your opponent's graveyard recursion strategies, you can use the second effect. Or with the first effect, if your opponent probably has like a singular big monster on the field, well, you can decrease that monster's attack points by a total of 2400 and go in the attack with it. That's the great thing about these cards. Essentially, the choice effect is 4 effects because they use the same exact materials. You have the same exact monsters on the field. So depending on the situation, you have a choice between 4 different effects. You go for the fusion monster with one of the 4 effects that you want at the moment. This is incredible because we haven't really seen anything like this before in Rush Duels, where monsters have the same exact materials, but they make a completely different monster. And like I said, having choice effects means that while you have Lilith and Gitarna on the field, you have access to 4 different effects. It really just depends on the situation. If your opponent has a ton of monsters on the field, well, then you can summon up Omega Gitarna, and then you can just bash into your opponent because they have a whole bunch of monsters, and Gitarna is going to be up to 5900. If your opponent has a singular big monster in the field, maybe not a lot of monsters at all, and then maybe you have a lot of monsters, you might want to use Princess Omega, because then you can decrease that monster's attack and then make it easier for your other monsters to beat over that monster. If you know your opponent's using a huge graveyard strategy, shuffle up to 7 cards back into the deck. If your opponent is hiding out in defense position and your opponent has any back row, feel free to use the second effect and just get rid of one of their spell and trap cards. Absolutely amazing. The amount of synergy that these cards can have with each other is amazing as well. You could, because they're so different but require the same materials, and it really depends on the situation. You have to be smart about how you use these people, but it doesn't matter which one you actually use because they're both great. But be wary of your situation because they're gonna shine depending on that situation. Next, we're going to see something really fun, and that's Can. It's a level 1 light psychic effect monster requirement. You can activate during the turn this card is normal summon. You can choose 1 Candy or Lilith in your graveyard and special summon to your field face up, but during this turn, monsters you control cannot attack except for Omega Psychic or Psychic monsters. This card revives 2 very important monsters in the deck. They're both fusion material monsters, and as you know about Candy, who is getting a reprint in this set, has a ton of spell cards that specifically work if you have Candy. The fact that this card can revive your fusion materials for your big plays is amazing. This card is I think this card is a 3 of. Honestly, if you're really leaning into the fusion strategies between Candy and Amalilith, definitely run 3 of this guy. Next, we're going to see Psychic Omega Blast, normal spell card. If there are 2 or more face-up monsters on your opponent controls, you can activate this card by shuffling 4 Psychic monsters from your graveyard back into your deck. Choose and destroy the monster in your opponent's field with the lowest attack. If there's an Omega Psychic monster on your field, also inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of the destroyed monster by this effect. So that's incredible as well, because let's say if your opponent has one singular big maximum monster, well, you're blowing it up with this card, so that's actually incredible. And all you need to have is an Omega Psychic monster in the field just to be able to do the damage as well. That's not pretty hard to ask for, especially since this deck is going to have the ability to do that pretty easily. Next, we're going to see featuring Omega Normal Track card. When your opponent special summons a monster, you can activate this effect. Choose one face-up Omega Psychic or Psychic monster on the field. It gains 1200 attack until the end of the turn. If the chosen monster is level 9, during this turn, that monster can't be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. So your opponent summons up a monster, don't worry, you're going to buff up your monster's attack points. And also don't worry, it can't even be destroyed by battle during that turn. I also love that this card works with Psychic or Omega Psychic. As we've seen, there's a lot of cards that don't work with the original typing of monsters. As you can see, there's no cards that work specifically for Magical Knight specifically. There's only like a single card that works for High Dragon. But whether you're using a Psychic or Omega Psychic, this card works. It's just that you get extra benefits for using an Omega Psychic type monster. So I'm super happy about these cards, people. A reprint of Candy coming in the set is also very, very nice. I've been playing with one for so long because she's such an expensive card, and we finally got Guitarna's fusion monsters. I'm super psyched about this. Let me know, people, what cards are you hoping to see in the Mega Road pack? I already got the ones that I'd wanted to see. This is already enough for me to buy 3 boxes, and hopefully later on I'll be going over some more cards because Otis and his Dark Spellcaster support cards also came out, well, or at least were revealed, and I'll be going over that as well. Until next time, people, like, comment, subscribe, and like I said, feel free to go into the comment section. Let me know what cards from the anime or even the manga are you looking forward to seeing in this set.